Hi, my name is Shireen Garib, and I'm Deputy Director of the Washington, D.C. International Film Festival. Today, we're pleased to have Director Rolando Colla and producer Elena Pedrazzoli with us, who will be speaking from Zurich about their film, What You Don't Know About Me. We were most impressed with this film when we first saw it. On the surface, it's a touching love story, but it's actually much more than that, addressing several complex issues in an engrossing and tightly constructed script. What You Don't Know About Me is participating in our Circle Award, which is the juried competitive portion of Filmfest DC. I'm also pleased to introduce Emily Buss, Public Diplomacy Project Manager at the Embassy of Switzerland, who will lead today's conversation. I'd like to extend a special thanks to the Embassy of Switzerland for co-presenting this film with Filmfest DC. Rolando, Elena, and Emily, thank you for being here today. Emily, I'll let you take it from here. Thanks.
Thank you, Shireen, and thank you so much, Rolando and Elena, one of the producers of the film, for joining me for this conversation today and for sharing your film with us. So I want to jump right in and hear your insights. Rolando, you're both the director of the film and one of the co-writers. So where did the inspiration for the story come from?
So there is a student here at the film school, and the last script she did was about this story. This was the first inspiration to have a script, but she wasn't in contact with the lawyer of the protagonist. And I wanted to have more information about the case because it's a real case. So I contacted him, and I received the agreement of the real Ikendu that I can have everything. That was a dossier of 500 pages. This was the second inspiration. So I knew really well the case. And that at the end, also the actor, Kudus, he's African really, and he came by the sea to Italy. And this was also important to work with him. We did a lot of rehearsals, and I changed also the script in order working with him and with her, because the mentality of this African man is different of our mentality. And that was interesting for me to understand that. He says, for example, that your mouth is not done to say bad things. You see, that's very interesting. So you just want to speak about beautiful things. And that is also, that gives the title of the film, but it's also a big problem between this, in this relationship, that they don't speak in an open way about the problems they have.
Interesting. Well, maybe I can jump briefly. Rolando, you mentioned that working with Kudus, you worked with him a lot on the film. So how much did his experience play in, and how many changes did you make, for example, based on his feedback?
Yeah, it's very difficult to say because it's a work in progress, you see. So we worked maybe 3 or 4 weeks of rehearsals, day for day for day for day. And then things change, and he also, when we have dinner or lunch, he's speaking about his experiences, and so things come out, and I can listen what he's talking about, and I can use it for the script, of course, always to showing him that I want to use it.
Mm-hmm. And Elena, could you talk a bit more about the process behind the film, what casting was like, how long everything took?
Yes, it was quite a long story to finance. In the beginning, we started quite well with positive feedback from Swiss television, the Italian-speaking part. And we found also some money in Italy and in Czech Republic. And it was supposed to become a co-production between these 3 countries. But then in Switzerland, we didn't receive the money from the Ministry of Culture, and neither from the regional fund from Zurich. And this created a huge problem, because then also TV couldn't stay in the co-production. And for this, we also lost the money that had been found by the Czech co-producer. So we had a big crisis meeting, and we decided to make the film with the little money we had. We still had the money from Italy, some money from Italy, and we received some money from the Swiss Italian-speaking part in Ticino. And so we decided to keep this money and make it just with a very, very low-budget crew, meaning almost the crew we usually shoot documentaries with. So it was really basic, and everybody made a lot of work, also the actors who brought their own clothes partially, etc. And that's how the film was made. Once we had a rough cut, we could raise some more money for post-production. This was a big help, evidently, to finish it on a high level, technically speaking also. And that's also the reason why we decided to shoot in Swiss-Italian part of Switzerland. Many of Rolando's films are spoken in Italian and are co-produced with the Swiss-Italian TV. So it was quite evident for us. And above this, we had very good conditions in this relatively small town, Bellinzona, where the film was shot. They helped us a lot with parkings, with authorizations, with the prison, which is always a very delicate location. And then we had this prison for us, and that was really great too. We had really a great support from there. So these different things brought the film to what it is today.
Great. And for the casting, did you have sort of a national search throughout Switzerland, or did you also find just actors who were already in Ticino?
We worked with different actors from Ticino that we knew from previous projects, because evidently we worked frequently there. And we had also some actors from Italy, like the lawyer in the film, who also worked already with Rolando previously on another movie. So it was a really international casting, also with actors from Czech Republic.
Well, I think that makes the film feel very realistic. You know, it's just sort of a local story being told. So I really like that. Rolando, maybe you can talk a bit more. I found it really interesting that we actually have two migration stories or immigration stories here, not just Ikendu, but Patricia as well, who is originally from the Czech Republic. And we hear her mother telling her that it's too bad she doesn't speak Czech with her children and that she's lost her connection to her country. So I'm wondering how you see the intersection of those two migration stories, and if it matters, you know, if the differences matter.
Yes, of course. Both Ikendu and Patricia have a kind of problem because they have no roots in the country they are now in Switzerland. She has no roots because she's coming from Republika Czeka and he's coming from Mali. And they have both a difficult relationship with the native country because she has a difficult relationship with her mother. This mother is not really accepting the way of life of her daughter. And there are a lot of tensions between. And for Ikendu, it's a problem because he has this traumatic experience in Mali, where he lost his friend. And I think both need to find a kind of stability in their life. And so they come together to form a kind of particular family and to find a kind of stability. That was the idea, that coming from another country, they are looking for that. And myself, I'm also, my parents are Italian, so I'm a child of immigrants. Elena too, so we know the perspective. When you come in a country and you don't know exactly the rules and you try to find your identity in this country and your friends, and it's very difficult. And so that was the idea, to have this migration background for both.
Okay, yeah, I think it's very powerful. And the Ikendu's lawyer, Russo, serves as kind of a go-between for the couple during the time when Ikendu is in prison and they can't see each other, and he sort of develops a deep relationship with both of them. So why was that role important to you?
Yeah, it's interesting that this young lawyer, he's a nice guy, very human. He tried to understand her, to understand him. He has a dog. This dog will die during the film. She will go there in this moment. And let's say that this is it's really a positive character, but exactly this man will provoke the catastrophe. So he makes the biggest mistake he could do, because when he knows from her that she's pregnant, and he knows that if Ikendu would make a false confession, he would receive only 2 years. Otherwise, they will send him back to Africa. So he speaks to him and says, you should make this confession, so because your wife is pregnant. So you will stay together. Otherwise, they will be sent back to Africa. He do that because he don't know that she has aborted the child. So Ikendu will do that, this false confession. And when he comes out, he knows that the baby isn't there. And that is really a catastrophe for both. Mm-hmm. You see, so this nice guy makes a big mistake, professional mistake. I think he shouldn't do that. So go so deep in the personal stories of the people. But I was very interested in this film to show the ambiguity of people, ambiguity of this mother. She's not a very perfect mother because she wants to enjoy the life. She goes out, she has different relationships, etc., etc. He also is not a perfect guy because he goes away and don't phone back. He makes strange deals, but we don't understand exactly what he's doing. And also the lawyer is not a perfect character. You see, it's not just only a positive character. And to have this ambiguity, that was for me important for the film.
And I think it makes it much more relatable for spectators to see everyone, not in black and white. Exactly. I wanted to speak more about the trial scene, since I think they'll be very interesting, particularly for American audiences, since we often see it's different to how we often see the American legal system portrayed in film and television. It's less dramatic, it's more bureaucratic. Can you talk more about the preparation you did for the trial components and the role of the legal system in the story?
So as I said before, I contacted the real lawyer defending the real Ikendu in the real case. And so I had also all the protocols, all the letters they wrote together. Then I worked also with the judge, yes?
The president of the National Bundesgericht, the federal judgment office, the really highest, the highest level of justice in Switzerland, where also terrorists are judged.
Yes, and this judge, we were a little bit friends because he knows my other films, and I contacted him before because I had a film about mafia, and he is responsible for this drug crimes, and then I wanted to have his opinion, his feedback, and he said to me, "This is I would change maybe this," or she wouldn't say that, you see. In the language, but he also opened the door that we could film the last scene in this amazing room, which is very difficult to enter. And he is one of the two judges we see in the film. So he helped me a lot, and I have a person giving me all the important feedbacks that we are in the reality, you see.
Okay.
And of course, that was the film is filmed like a little bit like a documentary, and to be really close to the reality was important for me.
Yeah, and again, I think that's something you feel in the film. It makes it more realistic.
Yeah, and that is amazing that they suggest a deal with the accused people, that if they confess, they will have less time to stay in prison. You see? So, and that is not correct. And but it's known that because they don't want to have such a long story in the cases. So I don't know how it is in America. I imagine it's maybe similar, but it's something we don't talk too much about. And there is also an understanding for African people than for Swiss people. So it's not the same for everybody. And all these things maybe were for this president, for this judge, were okay because he is an open mind and he says it's good to speak about that.
Right. Well, I want to move to sort of a different track of the film and ask about the musical choices, because music is used very sparingly, but I thought the choices were very powerful. So what is your process for including music in the film? Do you already know from the beginning what you want to include, or is it after the fact based on what you've come up with?
Yeah, let's say that I work with the same composer now for 20 years because I make a rough cut. Sometimes during the rough cut there are scenes and I feel it's the images are not powerful enough, but not to manipulate the people, but just to bring out something which is deeper. So for example, the ambiguity, or doubts, or hope also. You cannot, it's not easy to express this only with pictures. So I ask him to compose something helping the pictures. And normally he starts from the silence and he gives not too much. So at the end we have a music like this.
Okay. It's maybe more a sound design than a music composition in certain parts of the film.
Yes, I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yes.
I have one final question for you both. The film is about so many things. It touches on so many topics. You know, it's largely about migration and it's a love story, but it's about loneliness and resilience and family. So for both of you, if there was one thing that you would like audiences to take away from this film, what is it?
Well, for me, it's a certain tolerance. People living maybe in not a very usual way, choosing some different ways to live, and to have a tolerance towards these people too. And that they can bring also something to the society, they can bring humanity inside.
Mm-hmm. And Rolando, how about you?
Yes, I see it like you. That's it's so easy to judge people, outsiders especially, or immigrants. And of course, that would be okay if the film can help to open a little bit your mind and to stay a little bit back and not to judge, but also to understand maybe a little bit people they are not in your close friends. So have a view of a part of the society we don't know too much.
Well, thank you both for sharing this film with us and with the Filmfest DC audiences, and I'm sure that our audiences will embrace it as much as we have, and hopefully take away what you hope they do. So thank you so much, and thank you also for sharing the insights with us. Thank you, Emily, and also thanks to Shireen to inviting the film. Yeah. We are very happy that in America it will be seen. Yes, thanks.
Great.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.